मीडियम अंग्रेजी में हो.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear audience, I welcome you. I, Munir Fayyaz, welcome you from another episode of Planet FM 87.6's literature show on literature, lit art. Dear audience, you know that we, in our this special episode of programs, we invite prominent personalities of today's contemporary literature, and they hail from different genres, from fiction, from non-fiction, from poetry as well. And in order, we have today very respectingly, very lovingly, we have invited with us today Mr. Shakeel Jazib Sahab. Shakeel Jazib Sahab is like an elder brother to me, and he's needs no formal introduction. You know, anyone who is relevant to or takes interest in today's literary activities, reads today's poetry, he is well aware with name of Shakeel Jazib Sahab. Shakeel Jazib Sahab is a poet of Ghazal and Nazm as well, and he is currently working as civil servant of Pakistan. He has very much dedicated himself. We know him as a civil servant on the second level, but his fame, his name, his works as a poet, I think it precedes everywhere his any other introduction. Welcome, Shakeel Jazib Sahab.
Thank you very much, Manish. I'm really honored by the FM 87.6 and you and all the team, and it's really heartening to be with you.
Most welcome from Planet 7.6 and its team. Jazib Sahab, Shakeel Jazib Sahab, when we were talking just before this program, before going on air, and I think we'll resume our off-air talk. You know, Ghazal has, you know, a great tradition, as we were talking from right since Rodki in 10th century. AD, and after that we see a galaxy of Persian ghazal. Then it was an integral
even
part,
in Arabic,
an integral part of Arabic epic Qasida-ology. Ghazal sprang out of that, and ghazal, though it is more than 1,000 years, ghazal is still flourishing, taking new swings, new turns, new forms. And when we see Urdu ghazal, despite having a great tradition and very multi-tradition of Persian and Arabic, basically it's Persian, Hijazi, Ajami tradition that we follow in Urdu. Urdu ghazal has fared very well, though it's not as old. It's just 2 centuries, 2.5 centuries old.
Yes, you're right. But I think Ghazal had also seen a very difficult time after Ghalib. Ghalib was the, I think, first major turn in the trends of the Ghazal. Before Ghalib, Ghazal in Urdu was of somewhat different trend. But the subjects of the Ghalib, the diction of the Ghalib, and the style of the Ghalib has changed Ghazal altogether. But together with this, when we see the socio-political changes in the subcontinent, in the backdrop of those socio-political changes, Ghazal was not, rather could not keep pace well after that decline of Mughal Empire. And independence movement and some other revolutionary movements, they preferred Nazm as their medium. And those were the days when Urdu language was gifted with best poets of the Nazm, including Iqbal and Rashid
and starting from Hali.
Starting from Hali
This modern
Akbar al-Abadi. So at that time it was considered that Ghazal has died, and maybe the Ghazal will no more survive. But after the partition, even before the partition, we saw that there were many names, although some of them were very popular, like Digar Muradabadi and Asghar Ghodwi Sahab and other. Shirani Sahab. Even Shirani Sahab was, after Shirani himself was much affiliated with the Nazm than the Ghazal. All the left, the progressive movement, or the Tariq, Tariq, which we say, they were mostly associated with the Nazm rather than the Ghazal. Even Fayyaz Sahab, when we see Fayyaz Sahab or
Nasir.
Nasir was an exception. Nasir mainly, you can say that he revived Ghazal rather. But Ghazal, in its format, in its subject, and in its strength, it proved too strong to die. So Ghazal revived, and the dilemma of partition and the migration, this gave some new subjects to the Ghazal, and new voices emerged in the Ghazal. Even new trends when we reach around 70s or 80s, then we say in 70s especially, we see very different and new trends in the Ghazal, starting from the Shakeel and
Zahoor Iqbal
as well. Even Nadeem Saab, Munir Niazi, all these very strong poets, though we see even Munir Niazi Saab, Akhtar Hussain Jafri Saab, Meera Ji, Rashid, Majid Amjad, all these prominent names are from the Nazm. But after that, we see that Ghazal has still produced very big names, very big poets, and Ghazal proved to be relevant even in the changing circumstances.
There was as you're referring to that era, 60s basically, when there was
50s, 60s and all.
There was a movement of linguistic forms and linguistic movements, new linguistic trends were entering, new experiments with forms. They first touched Nazm.
Yes.
They first touched Nazm. And
because Nazm is much flexible than the Ghazal. Ghazal has a very strict format. Ghazal has a very strict its boundaries. So living within those boundaries, you have very limited space. Ghalib has rightly said,
Safina chahiye, is that
so the tragedies were so big and the dilemmas were so grave that it was felt that in two lines it may not be possible to depict all this tragedy and all this dilemma. So even in Nazm, there were metaphors, there were
new images, linguistic
experiments.
There was room for that.
And then Ghazal adopted it accordingly itself. And the change, the acceptable change in the language, that was more accepted by Ghazal than Nazm.
Sir, I refer to, we are still in the same era. In 60s and 70s, we see Kalimuddin Ahmad criticizing Ghazal severely and calling it by names as Meme Bashi Sinfesupan, a semi-barbarous form of poetic genre. And then we see the Ghazal poets retaliating to this statement, and then they produced Ghazals. We see great experiments in the Ghazals of 60s in form of Abe Rama, in form of Roshniya Roshni, in form of Ratbo Yabas, बेसम तमन्नाओं का सुराग मुनीर नियाज़ी साहब तेज हवा और जंगल रूह. We see poets refuting to this allegation with their creation, not just with statements.
This is what is happening nowadays. We are refuting each other with the statements, not with the creations. But at that time, luckily, the reaction was in the form of creations, and that enriched Urdu literature as well. And Nasir Kazmi and Shakeel Jalali, although Shakeel Jalali has very not plenty of ghazals, there are very limited,
just
15 or 20 ghazals, but those 15 and 20 ghazals are trend-setting ghazals. And then there are many other names who came in on the front in the ghazal. And those include, at that time, if we talk about 60s or 70s, or like in Karachi, we see Jamal Sani and Ubaidullah Alim and John Elia, Sarwat, and even in Lahore we see Munir Niazi and Ahmed Faraz, Tariq Saab, Fayyaz Saab,
Nasir Saab.
So there was a very, these are very strong voices. Even today, their writings are relevant. You will see that many poets have not remained relevant with the passage of time. But these are the poets which are still relevant. Their experiences are still relevant.
Shakeel Jazib, we'll continue our talk. We need a short break. Dear audience, we'll be back right to you. Thanks for listening this time.